Hey church, you've probably heard me say before that our mission here at South Hills is to lead unchurched people into a growing relationship with Christ. That's why I'm super excited to be launching something called Rooted this fall. I have Jeff, our central director, here with me today. Jeff has a lot of experience with this course. Jeff, why don't you tell our church a little bit about what this Rooted program is all about?
Yeah, so what Rooted is essentially a 10-week journey to connect you with God, the church, and your purpose. You're going to be exposed to what we call 7 different practices in Rooted within the small group setting. Because you may be wondering, is this for me? I've been following Jesus a long time. I'm pretty new to the church. I'm not even sure about church. Rooted is for everybody. So if this is your very first day in church and you're wondering, what is my next step? Rooted is for you, because we know that you will never move beyond the fundamentals of practicing our faith. So jump into Rooted.
I just want to make sure you know, we truly believe this is a foundational decision for our entire church. So as we dive into this, please don't just look at this as another thing that we offer. It's the thing we offer for you to grow in your relationship with God.
Registrations for Rooted are open right now. You can sign up by opening up your Church Center app, or you can talk to somebody at the Connect Bar, or you can go on the campus webpage of the campus that you attend. All of the details on when Rooted is happening at your particular campus and how to sign up are all answered right there. We would love to see you guys sign up. Let us know if you have any questions along the way, and a staff member or volunteer would love to answer those questions.
It's not true. Now Laura's going to take it
Don't
personal.
try to butt. We gotta save America.
I don't know about you guys, but wouldn't it be cool to have a report or an app that tells you what you talk about the most? Or what you do most often, right? In some cases, you might not need an app or a report. You just might need a 13-year-old kid, like in my case. He's super passionate about video games, and that's all he talks about. And for the past two months, my son Caleb hasn't stopped talking about this new game that's coming out on Nintendo Switch called Batman. You cannot find it on Nintendo Switch. You can find it on like the PS3s. You can find it on Xbox. But now they're remaking it so the kids could buy it. Well, actually, the parents could buy it for their kids, and they could play it on a Nintendo Switch. And this is all he's been talking about. I'm like, can you change the subject a little bit? Can you talk about food or something? You know, he dreams about it. He eats about it. He investigates about it. He is saving his money to buy the game. This is all he talks about. All the conversations that me and him have either begins with Batman game and ends with the Batman game. All the time. And as a parent, you can imagine, right? Listening to the same thing all the time is like, come on, God, I don't want to be mean, but I'm not interested right now, you know? Can you change your subject? And it's not only that. He doesn't only talk about video games. Man, he plays them. And over the summer, I'll be honest with you, please don't judge me. And they don't know this, but I was keeping track of time of how long he was playing and how many days he was playing. And man, it was a lot. As a father, I felt bad. They broke their own record over the summer for the amount of hours they played. And, you know, like I said, before you attempt to judge me and say, man, you're a bad father. You let your kids play. You're letting the Switch teach character and, you know, to your kids instead of you. Well, you have a smartphone as well. So don't judge me. And that smartphone has something called screen time, right? It's an app in your phone settings, and it will tell you how many hours you spend on your phone, what app you spend the most on, which days you use it the most, and then it compares it week to week. And guess what? This morning before service started, I got like, ding, ching, ching. You've used your phone 7% less than last week. Yes. It's incredible. You're probably worried right now, like, I hope he doesn't want to check my phone. Well, wouldn't it be fascinating if we're able to get that feature enabled on our conversations, though? What we often talk about, the words we're often using, are we talking more frequently in a negative state, in a positive state? Or the frequency we talk about certain topics? What are we talking about? What topics are we talking about the most? I mean, what if the report shows that we talk about music the most? What if that report shows that we talk about our family, coffee bean or Starbucks or whatever coffee you like, fantasy football? What if that report shows that you talk more about your job, Jesus, even politics? Of course, it's not wrong to talk about family, right? It's not wrong to talk about music. I love talking about baseball, by the way. I love talking about steaks and food. I love that stuff. Maybe you like talking about sports, but whichever topic you like talking about, some people will tune into you and some people will tune you out because they're just not interested. And when we talk about faith and politics, this is what I've learned, and it's going to come up here on the screens for all of us. People may not be interested in faith, but are passionate about politics. People may not be interested in faith, but are passionate about politics. Maybe you've been there, right? You go out with a girlfriend, a friend, you guys are having tea, you guys are having coffee, and then you bring up the topic of Jesus, and that other person's like, what? Jesus? Where does he live? No, Jesus, like Jesus. And they're like, they tune you out. But then you bring the topic of politics, and boom, they're zoomed in. They're paying attention. They're so engaged to you. They're so passionate about politics, but not about your Jesus. Ever wonder why this happens? It's very interesting because oddly enough, politics triggers something in our mind, in our brain, that causes us to have like this emotional reaction. Let me try to dive into this more. Just everybody just picture with me, it's Sunday night, right? You had a great day at church. It didn't rain like they said it was gonna rain. Oh. You put your kids to bed, right? You check your emails. You responded to your boss, an email he sent you like 2 weeks ago. You finally did it. You mostly did your laundry. You mostly took a shower. I don't know how that will look like, but anyways. You mostly ate. You're finally in bed. You are like, yes, I'm going to relax. And you do the smartest thing ever. You're in bed and your sofa, you grab your phone, and you open your Facebook app. And you're like, oh, so relaxed. The AC's on. Honey, can you bring me something? Yes, my love, I'm coming. I'm so relaxed. You go through Facebook. You love a cute, pic of babies. You like a pic of dogs. You love cooking videos. Oh, I'm gonna like this. And you so good, so good. You comment, right? But then your friend that from high school or family member, right? They post another political rant that you disagree with, and instead of feeling relaxed, you get worked up. You get so upset. You get mad. How do we go from mostly showered and relaxed to emotional? That's what politics does in our brain. There's an emotional reaction and affects us more than what we think it does. Now, let me be clear though. It's not wrong to be interested in politics. Absolutely not wrong. And it's not wrong to be passionate about certain policies or topics. But we would be wrong to assume that our political commentary, like these social media posts, your bumper stickers, right? The flag, the shirts you wear. We would be wrong if we think they don't spark a reaction in the circle, in the people that we're in, that we hang around with, the people that we know. Will we be wrong to assume that our political commentary doesn't spark any negative effects in people? We should not assume that. Even people that don't know Jesus might just feel that effect of our posts. We might not see the interaction, we might not think it's there, but it's real, it's happening. And here's why this is so dangerous, guys. The moment our love for our country takes priority over our love for the people in our country, we've lost the heart of Jesus. We've lost the heart of Jesus. And if we're all too honest, we're louder about our political beliefs than we are about our spiritual beliefs. All too often, we're shouting our politics and whispering our faith. And you might be here, you might be online, and you might be saying, well, hey, Pastor Ozzy, man, you don't understand what's going on. It feels like this culture is becoming increasingly hostile to my Christian values and beliefs. What am I supposed to do? Just sit back and relax and have a donut? I think I need to shout out my politics. I need to defend myself. And I get it. There's going to be tension. But there's something more important to think about when it comes to politics. See, I believe that while we're trying to win people over to our side politically, on what we do and what we post and what we say, we're actually alienating people spiritually, which is most important. And we're actually not even realizing that. So if you're a Jesus follower in here, I want you to ponder on this next question. If you are here, you're not a Jesus follower, you just found us on YouTube, you're just watching the service and you don't trust in God, man, you're free to just listen, have at it, do whatever you want. But here's a question I'm going to ask and say, and it's this. Should I be trying to win someone over to my political party, or should I be winning them over to Jesus? I'll say it again. Should I be trying to win somebody over to my political party, or should I be winning them over to Jesus? And in case you need help with this morning, here's how the Apostle Paul said it and did. This is what he did. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19, it says this. Put up on the, here we go. I am not anyone's slave, but I have become a slave to everyone. I know that sounds kind of weird, right? Because you and I said, like, what? I'm not a slave to anybody. Not even my husband, not even my wife. What's going on here? So I can win as many people as possible. So Paul made himself a slave to everyone, right? Not some, not a certain group, but he was a slave to everyone, no matter their differences. Why? To win as many people. See, what's more important for Paul is to connect with people. What's more important to Paul is to talk to people, is to win as many people as possible. But here's the question: to win as many people as possible to what? I mean, what is Paul talking about? Because I am nobody's slave. I can guarantee you that. Well, the next verses illustrates and helps us understand what is happening. Verses 20 to 22, put up here on the screen. Here we go. We'll read it out together. When I am with the Jews, he said, I live like a Jew to win a Jew. They are ruled by the law of Moses, and I am not. But I live by the law to win them. And when I am with people who are not ruled by the law, I forget about the law to win them. Of course, I never really forget about the law of God. In fact, I am ruled by the law of Christ. Verse 22, when I am with people whose faith is weak, I live as they do to win them. I do everything I can to win everyone I possibly can. Paul now begins to describe, right? In what sense he voluntarily puts himself under the authority of others. And he doesn't have to do this, but he does. He voluntarily participates in some ways in the Jewish religion or the Jewish religion system to connect with people. For example, I'm thinking Paul is walking with, a few Jews, and Paul's like, hey, let's do this right now. And this culture, you can't do this. And the Jewish are like, hey, Paul, we don't do this here. We're under the law. And Paul's like, we're not under the law, but you know what? I'll still hang out with you because I want to win you. I want to connect with you. And I'm thinking there's some other Jews that are like, man, I'm hungry. And Paul's like, man, yeah, let's have some ceviche. And they're like, sorry, Paul, under the law, it's just an example, guys. Under the law, I don't eat fish. And Paul's like, oh, man, but I want to win them over. But what do you guys have? Oh, we have chicken pot pie. Ooh. Let's do it. He doesn't judge them. He doesn't criticize them. He becomes one of them. Amos says in verse 22, when I am with people whose faith is weak, I become like them. He will eat with people that doubted Jesus. He will eat people that were struggling in their faith. And Paul will sit there and would not judge them, would help them. He became weak to help those that are weak. He became weak to those who doubted Jesus, to those who were struggling, to those that were imperfect. Paul did not offend them or judge them. Now, I want you to think about this with me. Paul could have opted out of participating with the Jewish religious system, but instead, he chose to remain involved. He chose to stay there. Why? Because he wanted to have influence in their lives without even compromising the gospel of Jesus. Now, I think there's a bigger question here, guys. I mean, you, like me, you might be asking yourself, like, but why would Paul do this? Why would he go through the headache? Why would he be slave to others? Why would he be friends with the unchurched? Why would he go through this trouble? And I think there's something bigger at stake. There's something bigger than Paul. There's something bigger than politics. And this next verse explains it. In verse 23, it says this, everything I just told you guys, everything, I become a slave to everybody in order to win them. Everything, says in Corinthians 9:23, I do all this for the sake of the good news in order to share what it offers. Isn't that interesting? Paul sums everything up by saying that he does all of this for the sake of the gospel. See, like Paul, our goal should not be to win anyone to a political party or a policy. Our goal is to win people over to the good news of Jesus Christ. Paul was willing to go far. He was willing to drive near or walk near. He was able and he was willing to listen to people's differences, whether political or religious. He was able to put himself like slave to other people in order to win them. He was willing to enter their world in order to bring the good news of Jesus. Now, I'm going to just say this. As silly as this may sound, what can you and I learn from this? Any Angel fans in the house? Like Anaheim Angels? I know they're bad. If you don't want to raise your hand, I understand. Yeah. No? Any Dodger fans? Yeah. Dodger fans? Woohoo! Maybe you become an Angel fan for a week in order to win that one person you want to win for Jesus? As silly as it sounds. Maybe you like hate going to this restaurant. You cannot stand the smell. You cannot stand the food. But you go with that one person because you want to win them for Jesus. Or maybe you go on like this biggest and scariest roller coaster ride with someone in order to be an influence in their lives, in order to become one of them, and then in order to win them over for Jesus. Some of you are like, oh no, not a roller coaster. Well, that's what happened with me. Let me share this story with you guys. I am not a fan of roller coasters. Anybody like me? Everybody? I'm not a fan of roller coasters. If you find me at Magic Mountain or Universal Studios or Knott's Berry Farm, you'll find me there for the churros. I love them churros. I'll take $100 and spend them just on churros. But I remember a few years ago, I did something I didn't like. In order to have influence on someone's life, in order to bring the good news of Jesus to them. And I remember being at church one Sunday, a family comes in, and they had a couple teenagers, and there was one teenager in particular that after the service, usually I would be playing bass back then, and I would spot anybody who would be coming into church that was new. And while I was playing, I already had in my mind, okay, focus on that person after church. I'm going to go talk to them. I'm going to make them feel at home. I'm going to make them feel like family. I'm not going to ignore them. I did that all the time. After the service, I talked to this guy, and we were chatting. And out of the blue, guys, out of the blue, he's all like, hey, I'm going to Magic Mountain tomorrow. Want to go? Really, God? I hate it. Maybe I'll go for the churros. I was like, what? You're inviting me to Magic Mountain? Are you paying or what? What's going on here? I said yes. That same day I went home and I prayed. God, I don't like this. I hate being dizzy. And it was going to be for 10 hours straight, right? 12 hours. And I said, God, if it's not your will, don't let his car turn on tomorrow morning because he's going to pick me up. If it's your will, you better help me throughout the day tomorrow because, I better see him at church the next week because then you and I are going to have a problem. So he picks me up. We go to Magic Mountain, and the first ride was Viper. Oh, my God. He's like, we're going to go to Magic Mountain 10, 12 hours. In my mind, I was like, oh, yeah, you better go to church next time. All right, Viper. I'm okay, Viper. We got on. We were like the first ones in line. We got on, and just the first loop, I wanted to throw up. I was like dizzy. I was like, oh, my God. We got off the ride, right? He's all like, yeah. I'm all like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, I hear, let's do it again. Oh, no. Time out, hold on, let me get some lemonade. Let me get something. I'm dizzy, I want to throw up, but he doesn't even know this. And I looked at my watch. Oh my God, 9 more hours to go. God, dude, this better be worth it. I'm going to become a fan of Magic Mountain in order to win this guy. Lunch comes, and I'm dizzy. I'm like, what? What? Let's have lunch. All right. And we buy chili cheeseburgers. I'm dizzy. I have a headache. And then I see a big fat burger splattered with all the chili cheese. And I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, this is not happening. And then he's all like, let's go to the ride that just drops you all the way down. Oh, you know what, bro? Give me a break. Hold on. And I was playing it off. I was laughing, but he had no clue what I was going through inside. We went on that white one. I don't know what's it called. Montezuma? I don't know what's it called. A white Colossus? Yeah, who said Colossus? All right, good job. Colossus? Man, but I wanted to hang out with him. I wanted to be an influence in his life. I wanted to win him over. But if I would have said no, what would have happened? I might have lost an opportunity there. Imagine if I would have said, bro, you know what? I don't like Magic Mountain. Let's just go to a small fair right here next door or something. Let's go to a carnival. What would have happened if I would have lost this opportunity to win him for Jesus? And I think it's no different in politics. When you take a stand politically, you immediately lose influence with about half of the people in your life. This is what happens when you take a stand politically. See, think about it this way. Every post, every rant, every video shirt, every flag you put, every bumper sticker. Funny enough, I was driving a week ago, and some guy had all these kind of bumper stickers about a political party, and he thought he was slick, but his car was all crashed and dirty. I'm like, dude, it doesn't go, you know? At least wash your car. With every friendship or every relationship, you're either building like influence or you're diminishing it. I think this is why it's so important for us to never burn a relational bridge over a political view. Don't act in a manner that causes like irreparable harm because of your political views, as you may need them later in life. You might have missed a chance to share the good news of Jesus. And you know what's cool about this with this guy? That to this day he still doesn't know that I became one of him. I became what he likes to do. He's still in ministry. He's still serving. Now he's winning people for Jesus. But man, that was a hard 12 hours. That was super hard. What now? What can we do? How do we keep our influence with those in our life? How do I win people for Jesus in this political culture? Number one, I want to share two things with you. Number one is put up on a screen right here. Extend grace and be salt. Colossians chapter 4, verses 5 to 6 says this: be wise in the way you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversations always be full of grace, seasoned with salt. Everybody say, seasoned with salt. So that you may know how to answer everyone. See, part of proclaiming the gospel of Jesus is found in the believer's action towards unbelievers or a different political party than ours. See, what we do, what we say, how we act, how we treat each other, especially when it comes to showing grace, it must be consistent with the message of Jesus. We show grace by extending a lending hand, right? We show grace by extending forgiveness, by extending encouragement, by talking to people, blessing people, even if they have a different political view than we do. Verse 6 says this, right? It's right here. Let your conversations be always full of grace, seasoned with salt. I want to concentrate a little bit in this here. It doesn't say like full of salt. Simple seasoning will do. I don't know if you've ever found yourself like me loving food. Yeah, we have something in common. That's super cool. Maybe you're at a diner, right? You're super hungry, and you're waiting for the waiter, and all of a sudden the waiter comes, with your food, and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to have it. Ooh, give me those ribs. Or give me that burger. You're super excited, and you see the food, the waiter gives it to you, and you take a big bite out of your food, and you're like, ooh, it needs some love. It's tasteless. But what do you do, right? Like me, you probably get the little salt, little container there, and you add a little what? Salt. And once you add a little salt, you go back in, right? You're going for the second try. Ooh, that's so good. It fixes everything. That's why I love salt. Add a little bit of salt, and it improves the taste. See, in the same way that salt improves taste, Jesus followers, you and I should leave a good taste to others, even when we're talking about politics. You and I are called to leave a good taste. Not to be like over seasoning, just slightly seasoned with love. This is how you win and you influence people. Number 2, stop arguing. Stop arguing, stop fighting. We talked a little bit about this last week. Philippians 2:14 says this: there must be no grumbling and disputing in anything you do. Man, I have kids. And yeah, they grumble and they're disputing and they're fighting. Just after last Sunday, after the second service, man, they were fighting. One was crying. Kids fight, kids grumble, but it's kids. But it's also true with adults. We grumble and dispute for everything. If it's hot, if it's cold, if the gas is high, you get mad and you fight for that 2-for-1 special that was over 90 days ago. And it's like, what's going on? We argue about politics and whose party is better. If you and I want to have influence, want to win people for Jesus, as Christians, we need to stop fighting. We need to be salt. We need to have good deeds so the people, your kids, our friends, could buy into what we have to offer, and that is Jesus. Have you ever thought about this as the band gets ready to come up? Have you ever thought about this? Do you know how the people that don't subscribe to our faith expect us to behave? Just think about that. Do we know how people who don't subscribe to our faith expect us to behave? And it's not a trick question, by the way. It's an honest question. They expect us to behave like Jesus. Do they have every right to expect those who claim to be Jesus followers to actually follow his example? Absolutely. They have every right to act, and perhaps most importantly, react as Jesus did. See, it's in our responses, in our reactions that say more about how authentic is our faith more than everything else. More than our sermons, more than how beautiful you sing, more than how many times you come to church. It's how you act, it's your responses that show people how authentic our faith is. And I'm going to ask this question again, and I've been asking it throughout this entire series. Are we willing to prioritize our faith over our politics? Are you willing to follow Jesus even when it requires for us to sometimes even keep our own opinions to ourselves in order to influence others, in order to win others for Christ? Now, I do have homework for you. So if you want to take a picture of this, write this down. I have homework for you, and it's this. I want you to ask yourself this week, is my political commentary creating an unnecessary distraction from Jesus? Is my political commentary creating an unnecessary distraction from Jesus? See, maybe you haven't noticed, but by God's design, people are not to be won over to his kingdom primarily by how clever we argue, or how bad our deeds are, or by our impressive programs, or how we insist that if they don't change to our political party, they're going to hell. Actually, we win them over by the way we replicate Jesus in their lives. This is how we win and have influence. So what would happen if we decided to be Christian and adopt the posture of leading in and winning one more to the party of Jesus? Let's bow our heads and let's pray. Father, we come before you thanking you for this day. Thank you for this rain. Thank you for allowing us to be here, for letting us to worship you. God, and you spoke to us clearly, Father. A lot of times we think it's about us, our perspectives, what we want to do. It's about our political party. It's that we're right. And we forget that we are called to win. You have shown us by the example of Paul that he was slave to everyone. He became everything to everyone in order to win one more for you. He looked past differences. He looked past political parties and he saw people. He saw the people were more important. He was able to get involved in their community. He was able not to judge them. He supported them. He loved on them in order to win them for Jesus, in order to bring the good news. God, would you help us do that this morning? God, we don't need a political Messiah. We need a spiritual Messiah, and that is you. Politics won't save us. You will save us, Jesus. And this is why I pray that you come in our hearts and our mind and you help us. Help us understand that when we are out of control and we are doing things on social media, we are actually hurting people. It's affecting people's life when we post about politics, when we make that a priority. God, make us a church, make us people that we shout our faith. We want to take a stand for you, Jesus, not a stand on politics. Would you help us? Would you help us lean into winning one more for you? Build our life this way. Build our heart, build our mind, so we could build and win more people for you. I say this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Why don't we stand on our feet and worship with the band?
South Hills Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the third way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances, and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you, and thank you for watching our online service today.